Do you want to go ahead and start, Fran, or you want somebody else to start?
Well, here's this. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So on our agenda, we wanted to start out with just a welcome. I know there's some new names today, and there's a few more still joining. So just how important it really is to all of us that you guys are joining us. And we've tried a few things in this week to sort of up our game a bit. We've got Facebook posts going on, and we've tried some mass emails, and so we try very hard to stick to an hour meeting. You'll notice that we'll try to go things rather quickly. We did have a couple working meetings this weekend to try to facilitate that, just as in full, just to respect everybody's time. But we also know that part of the reason we're all here is because we need to talk about what we're going through and share our frustrations and our joys and our accomplishments, our frustrations. And so after the hour meeting, we will continue with just an hour chat. Anybody wants to discuss what they've been trying to deal with, getting compassionate care or whatever. And then anything that comes up in that chat that's really significant, we'll spend that time, or we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Now, Fran put in the chat of the meeting information form. If you haven't ever filled that out and you're new to the group, please do. It kind of just, for one thing, it gets your email. We don't share that with anybody. There's nothing to worry about that. It just kind of lets us know who's involved in the group when we need to reach out to you or share any information too. So, and then there's also a copy of the agenda there. So, so we'll go on with our next really item. If Julie will start with that on the legislative bill.
Yes. Welcome everybody. I'm just glad that we're all here. We share a common purpose for our loved ones, and who are suffering from isolation. We're trying to fix this. So with IDPH, we thought we had this kind of when they came out with the guidance for the essential caregiver, we were all excited about that until we read that one phrase, except for an outbreak. So we still know that there's more to be done. And our goal here is to try to have legislation in place to prevent this from ever happening again, no matter what the circumstances would be. So we've been in contact with Senator Jill Tracy. She represents the 47th district in Illinois. That's West Central Illinois. She was elected in 2016, and previously she had served as a member of the Illinois House of Representatives from 2006 to 2014. Most recently, she was appointed to the leadership post of the Senate Republican Whip. She will work closely with the rest of the leadership team on guiding legislation and setting policy. She's also the spokesperson for the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Senate Environment and Conservation Committee. She also serves as a member of the Agriculture, Criminal Law, Education, Ethics, Executive, and Revenue Committees. So she's a busy lady. So we are just very fortunate and grateful, Jill, that you have noticed, this group and what we're trying to do. And we're just so grateful that you've taken action for us to represent our group and all of our loved ones who are fighting this isolation. So anyway, with that, I will introduce Jill Tracy.
Well, I'm glad to be part of your group. Are you hearing me, Julie?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. The bill that we introduced with your input and all of your group's input has been sent to the legislative research group that's going to put a bill out there, and we will file it. And I'm hoping and asking everybody on this call to reach out to your legislators, wherever you are in the district that you sit in, to get on board with it, because it is such an important bill, because we got to be prepared. We've seen how a pandemic can isolate our loved ones. And so I think we've got a really good bill out there that addresses all of our concerns. And so if you'll help me, I think this one will really get us prepared for the next whatever comes our way, and help us to get the essential people to our loved ones that are in whatever living situation they're in. And it's a really good step forward to never have this happen again, where our loved ones are isolated. They'll have somebody that can come into the facility with safety precautions, and they will have someone that will always be there for them throughout the circumstances. So, and I appreciate Julie and everybody there that's fought for this. And I think we've got a good bill, and it may see some amendments or whatever, but just ask your legislators to support this, and suggest whatever else that needs to be there. But I think we've got a good bill coming forward.
Well, Jill, I can tell you for everybody, thank you. Our bill, compared to any other state, blows it away. If we can pass anywhere close to what you wrote with our help, all the other states, some of them are awful. I don't even know why they're trying to pass some of the other ones. I've looked at just about every bill out there. And ours, guys, will truly protect our family and our residents if we can pass anywhere close. You know when we'll have a bill number, Jill, by any chance?
Well, I talked to Joe Johnson, who's helping me, and it's in the works, and it could be within a week. And as soon as it comes out, I will let you know, and with the bill number, and then you can follow it on the ilg.gov website.
Perfect. We are sending out a letter to every member of the House and Senate somewhere around the very end of the month. And we will read a sentence that we can add that in for the last line, and, you know, right before we have them printed. So by then, hopefully we'll have a number. We can send them the number and tell them about the bill all in this letter. Because we're going to invite every one of them to join us at the Capitol on March 12th.
Jill, I have a question. So do you
Yes.
recommend us waiting till we get the bill number to reach out to?
Yes,
Okay, so
I
we
do.
actually say, okay. So wait until we reach out to our,
Yeah, it'll be within a week.
okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Tammy, you're muted.
Is she froze? Oh.
No.
No, I think Tammy was trying to
Sorry.
hear you.
So at a high level, what's a general timeline? If it gets a number within a week, like really, when could it be voted on? Like,
Well, you know, we haven't been in session in February, and it'll be given a number, and hopefully it'll be assigned to the committee within a short time frame. So by April and May, it should be voted on and sent to the House, and then they'll vote on it as well.
That would be like,
that would be great. That would
oh my
be.
God.
Yeah.
Jill, this is Lori Schlosser. I'm in Springfield, and I so appreciate your work here. I understand this touches you personally as well.
Yes.
So we know you understand what we're talking about when we say it's been a very long time. Can you tell me about the prospects of getting Democrats to come on as co-sponsors, and what it looks like in the Senate with Democratic leadership for something like this? Also, what committee it might be assigned to?
Okay. Well, they have got a whole host of new committees in the Senate. So I'm not sure, but as soon as this bill gets a number, we will see where it's assigned. And I think this bill transcends bipartisan support because it's so important to every individual in Illinois. So I don't think I really think it's going to get huge support. And that's why I'm asking all of you to reach out to everybody that represents you. I'm trying to think. It'll be in public health.
I did
This-
notice today that Arkansas, they voted on a bill in one of their chambers. I forget if it was the House or Senate. It won like, for whatever the number was to 0. There was absolutely no opposition. So
Okay.
I don't know if the other states have gone that way as well, but
Indiana as well.
I hope that was indicative, of what it.
I think it is. I mean, we weren't prepared for this, and now we are prepared. And I think it's not a political issue. It's just a human issue.
Mhm. Great.
Well, I know North Dakota would have passed theirs, but their governor vetoed it. And it was because they tied it to other things. And so the way you wrote it, and it's an independent bill, that means other people can't tie to it. Is that right?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, because like they tried to strip the North Dakota governor of his executive powers to their long-term care bill.
And I
Is how
can't promise that Illinois won't try to do something like that, but I think our bill is going to be pure.
Good.
This is Rita Winkler. Oops, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I talked to Charlie Rettmeyer, and he said he was very interested in this, and he was
Yes.
supposed to get hold of you, but I don't know if Charlie found you when he was there yesterday.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yes.
Charlie can find me anywhere.
Right, but I don't know if he found you yesterday. I think it was when I talked to him. I'm not sure.
Absolutely did.
Perfect. Okay, and we will talk to Terry Bryant and Paul, the whole, we'll talk to them all. And hopefully they'll come on board because, Senator Plummer, I mean, he's been talking to me about something like this for a long time. So I will definitely talk to all them. So thank you so much. I just appreciate this tremendously.
Awesome. Okay. So can we go on to the signs then, or is it?
Yeah. Thank you, Jill, very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Jill.
Absolutely, guys.
Jill.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so
So Peggy, you want to talk about the GoFundMe and where we're at with the signs?
Yeah, so our campaign, I think, is officially closed. I closed out the GoFundMe yesterday. Carrie and I talked, and so our total between PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, GoFundMe, checks, we had a total of $2,027. So so I think our campaign was a huge success. And I believe, well, what I do know right now is there's a few disconnects, which I'll work out between, we found out some people really struggled with realizing the two-step process of you have to order your sign, and then you make a payment. So when Carrie and I were on the phone yesterday, there was one woman who was in the spreadsheet like 4 times. So because I think she just kept requesting, she wasn't sure how to do the payment. So whatever, we're working out a few minor glitches, but yeah, so I think Carrie, she could talk about, I think she ordered the signs and yeah, so like I say, I closed out the GoFundMe yesterday around noon, and Yeah, so I think, I mean, I'm very happy with what we raised. I'm pretty impressed, so,
Great.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So I'm waiting on final proofs right now from the printer in Texas on the signs, but essentially we ordered 200 signs that will go to people's houses, 200 that are spoken for. We ordered another 400 signs.
Wait, 200 or 100? I thought 100.
No, because it was 170 something is what we counted. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's not in front of me at this moment. Maybe you're right.
I think it's 100.
Okay. I can go back into my email. I'm sorry. I just got home from getting my second
I
vaccine.
know, no, it's okay.
Okay.
So my brain is, right. But we ordered 25 more than whatever we needed for that approximately. Okay. We ordered 400 that will be at the Capitol with us. Not that there's no way we're going to get 400 all around us, but we'll get a lot of them. And then what we've talked about now is starting to look for people all over the state so we can start providing the signs. We'll do 200 at a time and set them up, whether it's in a business, a front yard. It does not have to be a main road. Okay. I know everyone's concept is, oh, but I don't live on a main road. From everything Texas has said, when they put out their 300 signs, it didn't matter if it was on a rural country highway, because they kept notifying the media where the signs were moving to and what was going on. People were coming from all over to see these signs. So I think kind of the decision we made was we would probably start south and then work our way back up and around, since we're starting in March, and that way people aren't trying to put out 200 signs in the yard in Chicago, since down here will be a little warmer, obviously.
Carrie,
So
Carrie, we have a question.
yes.
Carrie, we have a quick question. Don is asking if there's any chance of these being placed near the IDPH. And I know we've discussed that, but if you want to touch base with her, with everybody.
We had originally thought about actually being at IDPH on March 12th and decided because of the logistics of how they're set up, it wasn't the safest place for us. I guess we need to find out if we can get some businesses close to IDPH that will allow us to put them up. Because if we just go put them up at IDPH, we know they're going to be gone in hours. Okay. And I'm not saying the day of March 12th, we might not decide to say, we're willing to forfeit 10 signs to have them there during the day. And if they disappear, they disappear. I mean, I wouldn't invest probably much more than that as far as trying to leave them on IDPH's property.
Okay. Carrie,
Yes.
Carrie, over there, this is Pat. Over there, where you're talking about at IDPH, you've got Jefferson, which runs right through the center of where IDPH is. And on the other side of the street are all the restaurants like McDonald's, Wendy's, those kinds of things, and Hardee's. It's concrete. I mean, you don't have any place where you can actually put signs. I mean, unless, I don't know how you get them in the sidewalk unless you stuck them in front of IDPH. They have, I think, a small amount of dirt, maybe right by the sidewalk, but everything that goes along the side of IDPH is concrete and mortar. I mean, it's a bank, it's a pavement, it's a parking lot. You don't have like a place where you can actually stick a sign in the ground out there.
Right across from it though, across the street, there was a lot of grassy stuff.
Right. So maybe, obviously, until I have a ship date, I won't know when I'm going to start bringing them to people to get them delivered around the state anyway. Obviously, we know I'm coming to Springfield to drop off. So I will try to plan that morning to get there early and go scope it out and see if I can find a few people to talk to anywhere, even if it's somebody's got a light pole and we punch 2 holes in it and wire it onto their light pole if they'll let us.
Yeah, but we really are looking for places to put the signs where we can put many.
Right.
Impact. And so, I mean, I looked at the McDonald's there on Jefferson IDPH, and there isn't a lot of grass, Pat, you're right. And so we're not going to get like the huge impact And if we get a place where we can only fit 5 or 6 signs, 10 signs, it's just not going to have the impact that we're looking for. We're looking for like Texas did with like
Yeah,
200.
with the multiples, right? And
And
like I said,
so,
but even if we do decide to put a few at IDPH's office on the 12th, when we're at the Capitol, like I said, I wouldn't be willing, a few, just enough for that day, and hope that when we're done, they're still there. And if not, we can, when I'm in Springfield and I can drive over there, because I don't remember, because it's been too long, then we'll have a better idea. As far as whoever just asked about IDPH in Chicago,
Right, which is what we said when we were gonna divide, remember, we're gonna
Right.
try to do Chicago and Springfield on the 12th. And IDPH Chicago is actually probably worse than what you guys are talking about, because IDPH in Chicago is on Michigan Avenue, which is obviously same thing. It's all cement,
Right.
sidewalks. And the other thing, even with these IDPH offices, is, I don't know if they're working from their offices anyway. I mean, these people, as we know, when we're on the IDPH calls, I think a lot of them are working from home. So
right,
it's not
The
like
other thing,
they're
go
there
ahead.
anyway. And then kind of what Tammy said is there's nowhere to put the sign, so you wouldn't get the impact that we're, looking for.
right.
But I think we really need the public attention and media attention to get support. IDPH knows how we feel.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
public behind
Yeah.
us and the media behind us to
Mhm.
really recognize it.
And
but those are great questions. I mean, because
Yes.
we've been through the whole IDPH,
Right.
thinking about IDPH and would anybody see it, and how and far and close we would be, and trying to just increase our message to them.
so, and probably
Great.
something I should really explain to everybody is, I know we all feel like IDPH is the enemy. They're truly not, okay?
Right.
We
Right.
are, Bruce can tell you, Julie can tell you, we're very lucky here in Illinois compared to any other state. We have made a contact with somebody on the COVID team who honestly answers emails. I mean, I sent this lady an email Saturday afternoon, not expecting to hear anything, at least until Monday. And within 2 hours, she responded to me. So they are listening to us. When they came out, Julie and Peggy and I met with IDPH in late September, early October. They did listen to what we had to say, and they had told us that whatever guidance they were going to make was going to come off of Minnesota's. They were patterning after Minnesota. So the three of us went through Minnesota and talked to other people, figured out what was wrong. And I emailed all these people and said, hey, this is what's not working in Minnesota's guidelines. And they fixed it before ours ever came out. Ever since they've released compassionate care guidance, and then when they released essential care guidance, every time that I'm hearing a lot of comments from people of a repetitive comment of, ooh, my facility is saying this, or we're hearing this, I'm telling them, and they're doing everything in their power to fix it. Including when I emailed CMS and actually got a response, CMS forwarded it to them, and IDPH acknowledged they know we're communicating with both places, and they're trying to work with us.
Yeah.
So, and very few other people in any state will tell you they can even have a conversation with their public health.
Yeah.
Unless somebody knows how to get hold of
They're
Dr.
trying to
ZK, and then let me know, because that's the only person we cannot get is Dr. ZK.
And the governor.
That
And the
too.
government, yeah. So,
Um,
so to circle back to the signs, really the biggest takeaway we need tonight from everybody, all 23 of us now, I think, 24 of us, which is a great number to have on the call, is we need locations, like, rack your brain about locations near you that we might be able to display them. Because I think, and that would be in the time frame of like after the March 12th rally, like we'll take the signs from there, or the gathering. We'll take the signs from there and move them around the state. So probably for 3 or 4 days each place or something like that. Just
correct. And if you come up with a location, please try to come up with some volunteers at the same time. They say it takes for 300 signs, because we're working off everything we know Texas did, that it can take, depending on the ground, anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to get 200 to 300 signs in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, pulling them back up to go the next place is a little easier. They're easier to take out than they are to put in.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So
it's
if you come
something,
up with something, maybe throw it in the Facebook or send an email back to the group, and that would be very exciting.
right.
So,
Yeah, and then back to the signs, I didn't say too, I was gonna do it today, but with all the Facebook activity we were having, which maybe would have been a good time, but I didn't wanna, I am gonna post, I'll probably tomorrow, you know, just to let everyone know, you know, that the sign, you know, the campaign's over, it was successful, and, you know, so I will put something on on our page, so.
great.
So can I just throw a
And I'm
quick
throwing,
question?
I'm just gonna throw in, because someone had said if you needed to get a hold of us or something, or wanted to comment, I just threw in our email, our central email that gets forwarded to whomever can help with that question. It's in the chat. I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
You're fine. So obviously, so first of all, we had about 470 extra dollars after what we needed for signs. So we've ordered buttons. One will go, first of all, to every member of the House and Senate when we send this letter out, inviting them to join us in Springfield. We're going to use the money for the postage, for everything to go with that letter. A good part of that money is going to go to. I had an idea yesterday, and at a point I was like, we're just running with this.
And the banners you ordered.
And right, and we ordered 2 3x5 banners that will go with the 200 signs. So that will be in the center, in the front of everybody's yard. There's your big banner, and then all the signs. And the banner, when it's done, will have isolation kills too, reunite families in long-term care, and then it will have Illinois Caregivers for Compromise on the bottom, because one of the things with isolation kills too is it doesn't give you the last piece of that. If you don't know what it means, yes, if you Google it, it will get you to a Caregivers for Compromise Facebook page. But this way we've given them a little more direction. Somebody I was speaking to earlier, and I don't remember who at this moment because I've spoken to a lot of people today, asked me if we had a web page, which we don't. I would actually like to look into doing that for us and finding, obviously I can't do it myself, I'll have to have help. But if I would like to know what everybody's opinion is, first of all, because the odds are we would need to raise $300 or so, give or take, just to cover the cost of hosting it for a year. But then whatever information we put on Facebook or anywhere else, everything could be on that webpage and not disappear the way it does off of Facebook. Plus, we have a lot of people who don't want to be on Facebook.
Maybe after the March. I mean, I think we need to really focus.
No,
on
I agree. It would not be until after March. I'm just curious why we have this many people here to give an opinion. Okay, that's fine. And like I said, it was just a thought on the way home tonight, so I thought I would ask.
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing about the signs too, because Tammy, I saw you just put on the chat, people are asking what Texas did. And if people on here aren't aware, there is a video out there. Right, Tammy? I mean, you've watched it. I guess I have
watched it.
Yeah,
it's linked on our page, I believe. It's on the National Caregivers page, and it's worth a few minutes to watch. It gives you a good idea of what we're hoping to accomplish and what they did in Texas. They did it last fall.
And if you go onto YouTube,
in YouTube, you can
and just look up Texas Caregivers for Compromise, you will find the video.
Yeah.
So that might be worth it for people to.
If you're. So another thing we're doing for the to mark the anniversary week is trying to create a flood of yellow letters, yellow enveloped letters to the CMS for one, which is the Federal Guidance Authority, and then the governor of Illinois as the other recipient, because he's over IDPH. So
somebody, whoever's letting people in, somebody just texted me, they're trying to get in.
Nobody's trying to get in.
I don't have anybody trying to get in.
Okay, that's fine. I'll tell her she's doing it wrong. That's fine.
So the letter writing campaign is an effort to just really just flood them with yellow envelopes and a letter. The CMS is actually, there's groups from every state all over the nation that are trying to create this flood of yellow envelope letters. So Carrie, you want to speak a little bit briefly?
Sure, give me 1 second just to help the two people that are texting me at the same time.
Okay, well, you go ahead then.
Why don't we have Lori? Lori, can you?
Yeah, please, I'm sorry.
Sure, I'd be
And
happy.
I'm gonna drop the link for that YouTube video from the Texas Caregivers. It's in the chat now for y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Sure, I'd be happy to. The important thing to remember about what is happening in Springfield on the 12th of March and what is happening with this yellow letter campaign is that it's all got to do with coming upon the 1-year anniversary of what we say call the lockdown in scare quotes, right? And so the idea was, and I think it was Carrie who said, let's see if we can give them something on paper instead of just having everything electronic. That the CMS head, and I think it's going to be Evan Schulman. Carrie's got to get me an address there. And CMS is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and that is the federal body that pretty much lays out the guidelines for these things. A number of us have heard from Illinois experts or Illinois officials that there's no change in Illinois until there's a change at CMS. And so what we figured, rather than try to figure out a whole bunch of people to send letters to, we would send them to the most important people, the ones who are making the decisions, the ones who are changing the guidelines. And so that would be the gentleman who's over nursing homes at CMS, and that's someone Carrie's been speaking with pretty regularly. And then the governor's office, because the governor's office will keep track of everything that comes in for a state agency. And the state agency we care about is the Illinois Department of Public Health, because they are making the decisions in Illinois. And so what we thought we would do, we've talked about this, handling these letters several different ways. There is a template out there now. It's an old template. It feels old now. It's like a week ago we put it out there. It feels old. We are going to be designing a couple of different letters, kind of like what we came to when we all put our heads together. One of them is a letter that's completely done, start to finish. It lays out what the issue is, what the problems are, and then it pretty much asks for two things. And these two things we talked about in our last call, the working group did. The first one is that there be enforcement of the guidelines that were put out even in October. It's pretty clear to us by the traffic on the Facebook page that there are some people still not able to get in for compassionate care visits. And there are some people still not able to get essential caregiver status. And that's why Carrie is such a busy person, because people continue to say to her, I'm not in the building. We've still got pictures of people with the snow shovel shoveling through the snow to get to the window. And that isn't necessarily necessary in Illinois now that just about every region's numbers are down. So where in my mom's facility, if the region numbers are down and the facility numbers are nothing, you're inside the building. But additionally, I was in as a compassionate care, as a compassion caregiver before then. So two things need to happen. I'll go back to the message. The first one is we need enforcement of the guidelines that were put out, as I understand it, in October, allowing for those two things.
September 17th.
Okay, very good. And it was my executive director that said, it's not changed for me since October. And then the second thing is we need updated guidelines, but not just open the doors wide open. Everybody fears that, because of the landscape that we have. So we want to be smart about this. We would like to ask for updated guidelines that allow a safe and strategic opening now that we have PPE and we have testing available and we know how to disinfect and we are screening everybody and many are vaccinated. So you would think from a national perspective that as the vaccine rolled out, the changes in the guidelines would roll out. It makes no sense to us to have people vaccinated and to still treat them like they are not. And so the letters will ask for those two things: enforcement at a minimum of what has already been put out in the fall, and then an update to the guidelines in the end that is a post-vaccinated scenario. And also a year later when we know what we're doing and the numbers are down dramatically because we know what we're doing. So a prototype letter that says all of that, if you don't want to write anything personal. And then another template that says, this is the basic argument and this is my position, this is my part of the story. This is what I want to share with you about it. So we're going to do something like that for both CMS head and also for Governor Pritzker. And
So let me follow up with that. So Fran, first of all, guys, is a magician. All these beautiful little templates, all these other videos you see, Fran does all of this, okay? The rest of us are clueless. I'll be real honest here, okay? She's our miracle worker. Fran is taking, CMS did 2 what they were calling fireside chats, hour-long webinars that they were all talking about, you know, vaccines and visitation and different things. Beth helped me, and then I went through and we took out, we took the times of where they made comments of things that we want to pinpoint off of. And Fran is putting them together in like little bitty 60-second videos. And then I have a gentleman in New Jersey who just has the perfect personality, voice, everything demeanor to do this. And he's going to put an introduction to them, asking people all over the United States to flood CMS with yellow envelopes. We're going to start the video somewhere around February 25th with the goal date that as many letters as we can get sent to CMS between March 1st and March 5th to be mailed. That way, on the 8th, when we hit the week of the anniversary, they can't get away from yellow envelopes, which is why we picked a color. Because, and also one of the reasons which I was adamant about not doing this as an email campaign, it's really easy to delete 1,000 emails. It's not easy to get rid of 1,000 envelopes. And especially, you know, we know governor's offices track what comes in. We don't know if CMS has to or not, but there's a good chance that whatever mail comes in there has to be tracked too. So, and we're going to be asking people all over the country to do this. So once we get these videos up, please, anybody you know, ask them to please, worst case scenario, go to Dollar General, go to the dollar store, buy the cheapest card you can find that has a yellow envelope. So you have the yellow envelope and have them mail something. You know, I mean, I would love to have somebody say to us, oh my God, we heard that CMS got 5,000 letters. I don't think we're going to get 5,000, but if we could get 1,000, that would make, it's real, it'd make it much harder to ignore us. And, you know, and there's a few of us from the different states that people at more of the federal level have realized we're not going away. And I happen to be one of those thorns in their side. So hopefully. Okay, whatever we got next, because I don't know where I put
Okay, so the other letter thing that's going on, just to mention, if anybody hasn't yet noticed on the Facebook page, the letter that you can text the number to a certain number and you get, it walks you through this whole robot way to send an electronic letter. It's not, you know, it's a whole different avenue we're going down. So do kind of keep your eye out for those to everybody in the group here, that we can, you know, we can try to get our message out as many ways as possible.
And Nancy forwarded me earlier that she actually got a response from that. And
So did I did too. Yeah, from
I got one.
Yeah, Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin. Today I got response.
I got Durbin's today, and it did seem, it actually, I skimmed through it real quick, but it actually did seem like it wasn't totally a template that had already existed. Like maybe not enough of them. He wrote a new template response, which I thought was really encouraging.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Yeah, Tammy Duckworth was like total, like, yeah,
And I haven't looked, it might be my junk mail. And
Yeah.
that's the other advantage with CMS, that the responses that I have received, and even the response, because one of the emails I had Bruce involved with, we kind of forwarded them a chain of emails. There was no missing that they had personally read these and they were responding to us. These were not form letters. So we are making a dent.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And did you see her Kathy wrote in the chat that Julie, can you read that?
oh, she bought yellow envelopes on
You're
Amazon.
muted.
I did get I was looking at my email. I did get one as well from Senator Durbin. So I'm sorry. So the chat.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
that she bought 50 envelopes on Amazon, yellow envelopes for $10.
Yeah,
You know, so even if you hand them all to your friends and say, please help us.
yeah. And if we have the template, you know, the template that's already complete, you can have it hand it to your friends with the yellow envelope and say, just sign your name. It's all I'm asking you to do, and throw a stamp on it and put it in the mail. So, so there's a few other things that are going on to mark the anniversary as well, including the gathering at the state capitol on the 12th of March. That'll be in front of the statue, and there's grass on each side that'll hold the sign. And so that's, you know, this is a picture from a gathering that took place in the fall, right? Or late summer.
Oh, we were there in September.
Yeah, September.
It was like the hottest day of the year, though. I'm just going to tell you that. It was really
So we're hoping March 12th will be a decent day. You know, March can go either way in Springfield, Illinois, but hopefully it won't be too bad. So keep an eye out for that. It starts at 11 o'clock. So maybe gather your friends. If you think that's something you can participate in, we're trying to get some media attention. I think we'll get that, but if you have any media contacts that you think you might add to that, the more the merrier on that front. The national.
oh, I'm sorry. May I add something really quickly to that, Tammy? I did get an event. I made an event for that on our Facebook group, so you can share it with other people now. So share away, and so that way we can at least streamline communication specifically for that. And I will also put anything towards this anniversary of the lockdown. I'll make sure is within that event, so that it kind of not only is the event of the gathering, but it will also be the event of the entire anniversary of isolation lockdown.
And these events are going to be going on in New York, New Jersey, Texas, Florida, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, possibly North Dakota. And we're trying every day to get other states. And we're telling people it doesn't have to be as big as what we're shooting for. Anything works. Even if it's just people ordering signs and putting them in their yard, which I will also, before the weekend's over, be putting up the general sign information. So if somebody from another state or somebody who didn't know about us wants to order other signs, granted, if you're only ordering one or two, they're way more expensive. But there are ways for others to order signs, whether they're in single quantities or in bulk. And the sign company has been amazing working with us to make that possible, because most of them don't want to deal with it on this manner.
So the other thing that
Okay.
you might have noticed is there's some things on the national Facebook page that I know we all try to share onto the Illinois page. And so just kind of watch for those if you have the time to follow those other calls to action, because the more attention we get, the more likely we're going to be heard.
And I'm just gonna put a plug in here to help you all find stuff on our group page. Pretty much every post has like a little tag on it, and so anything related to this anniversary is labeled anniversary of lockdown. So you can actually search within our group by those different topic tags that they're tagged, and you'll be able to find all kinds of things that way, just in case you weren't aware of that. Are we on digital media?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I'll run with this part or this next one. Did y'all know we have a YouTube channel? And within it are some, I've divided up the videos into playlists. All of our, not all of them, but as many as possible of our Zoom recordings are in there. We have our newest thing, updates on IDPH visitation. The newest one that was just the other day. It goes over essential caregivers, compassionate care, quarantine, and there was another little
General
something in there.
visitation.
General visitation, indoor visitation. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Okay. So you can find all kinds of, and I'm trying to get any media in there as well, as I have time. So within that, and then so that is one area we have. We are trying to increase people's awareness. So you see that little red doodabby there? Subscribe. We don't have many subscribers. And if you subscribe, you will then get a notification whenever something new is posted within that channel. Just so you know. And then we did a poll on our Facebook page asking, are you getting inside? Just to see if people are even checking into our Facebook page, paying attention to what's being put on there, or do they think it's just a page where we're just sharing our stories and our frustrations, which is okay, it's fine, but also are people aware that there's more occurring here? There's information being disseminated as well. And so these were the responses that we got, and you can see the post outreach down there in the corner, how many people saw it, and then how many people voted versus how many people saw it. If someone wants to do that part of it.
So there's 509 that saw it. 17 said they were getting compassionate care visits. 16 are still trying to gain access. 9 said no. 6 said essential care visits. 1 said, I have no idea how to do this.
So
Which,
I would
working
just
on
add in here that the reason something like this is really important is because it tells us part of the message then needs to be that there are still people not able to gain access. So we may look at this through our own individual vision and say, I'm all good in my facility, I can get inside. But if you watch the traffic on the Facebook page and you look at a poll like this, it's pretty clear it's not uniform across the state. And there's a tremendous amount of frustration over the lack of enforcement or the lack of understanding for what is actually already out there in the way of these visits. That's why Carrie's so busy in all her spare time.
and then so to tie into kind of that, well, no, it's going to come up in a bit, sorry. Okay, so another thing we're doing on our Facebook group page, there attention grabbers, something just hey, we know you're out there, and we know that, and we want you to know you're not alone, and also just to try to get some communication going from other people, and like Lori said, just so that we can know where everyone is and to better reach out and communicate what's going on, right?
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so these were just
Yeah, important, Fran,
for
also
a couple.
acknowledge that it's how difficult it is, and that the basic fundamental things that are a problem for one of us are a problem for all of us.
Right. And so Lori did this post on this day.
On February
And
6th.
then you can see how many people that post already reached.
It reached over
And
1,000 people.
Wow.
And then Kathy actually shot us a picture with the temperature, and I forgot to get a screenshot of that, I'm sorry, of her standing outside, and it was bitterly cold. Kathy, do you want to share?
Yeah, I usually go every day and it is cold, but she worries if she doesn't see me, and a phone call really doesn't do it. And so, yeah, it was 5 degrees that day.
So have you
it's
tried to
all
get inside?
relative.
You can't get inside.
We're gonna work on that again.
Every time they act like you're gonna, okay, let's see how it is next week. If there's one case in the whole facility, which they have rehab, they have memory, they have nursing side, it's forget it. Now we have to wait 2 more weeks. But she's had her second shot. And I tried calling the ombudsman, but he hasn't called me back. So I don't know if he's busy, or I'm sure he is.
So, and I know I keep hearing that a lot from people. When you have a problem with your ombudsman, you've made 2 attempts and you've gotten nowhere, please tell me. Okay, the state ombudsman I have contact with, the top person and her deputies. I'm helping them build or create a statewide ombudsman and family. I think we're going to call it a collaboration, because we don't want it to be a council. We want this as a collaborative effort. So not that it works 100% of the time, but a lot of times I can shoot Kelly an email and say, hey, Kelly, I have this person at this facility who's tried 3 times to get hold of this ombudsman, and we're having no luck. Stephen, who normally is here with us too, has also stepped in and helped people get to their ombudsman. So if I can't get to them, please let me know and I will try. Can't promise, but it is working fairly well. And hopefully the ombudsman's program, their goal is somewhere during the week of the anniversary, not on Friday, that they are going to try to host their first virtual event for everybody in the state of Illinois. Is where they're shooting right now.
And what do you say for somebody who's ombudsperson, they can get a hold of them, excuse me, but they aren't helpful?
So when they're not helpful, especially if they give it to you in an email. So again, email, try not to do it by phone if you can help it, or at least, but like we had an ombudsman who straight out told somebody that compassionate care was only for end of life, and there was no way this facility was going to stand for essential care. And I don't remember which person it was at this point, but they sent that to me, and they sent me the name of the ombudsman and forwarded me the whole message. And I sent that to Kelly. I can promise you, from Chicago, I could see the steam coming out of her ears. And she and I've had multiple conversations of what went down with that ombudsman next. So what I did find out, we all look at that list and we see like 20 names of ombudsmen. There's actually over 200 ombudsmen. These are just supervisors and lead people. So sometimes the people we're talking to should know, but aren't always quite grasping. So the ombudsman program is now using Fran's lovely videos to help educate the ombudsman in Illinois. So we're reaching out and making effects in ways that we don't even realize we're doing something.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to educate the facilities.
So we're working on that too. We have a plan B for that. The ombudsman is going to meet with IDPH. They have a meeting like twice a month. The state ombudsman does, and we are going to ask IDPH to either co-host a webinar with us or something for facilities. And we're going to ask that the information come through the surveying agencies, because they get the most response, asking facilities to attend this meeting. And hopefully it will work in the same manner as like the Friday meetings, that even if they don't, they wind up getting it in a copy in their email. And that is going to be part of it, is we are going to educate them what this means, how you do it. The director of my son's facility has committed to explaining people how she put the program in place. I was absolutely one of the first people in the state to get in under compassionate care. Illinois released the guidance on the 22nd. I left for Phoenix on Halloween Day, and I'd been in twice already, the 22nd Halloween Day. But they knew it was coming. They'd worked on a plan ahead of time. Granted, I think part of it is because they also know I'm very involved and I'm very loud right now. So they weren't going to have a lot of wiggle room. But they're working, you know, we've had outbreaks. We've been in for an outbreak almost the entire time up until 2 weeks ago. Only 5 days could I not go in during outbreak.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I
sorry.
need to ask, did someone just wrote in the chat directly to me that their facilities never brought that up as an option. Was that you, Dawn?
So I can tell you the facility's not going to tell you.
Hold on, Carrie, hold on. I want to finish this real fast. Is that
Okay.
okay? Oh, I can't tell who wrote it. But and then that they were, when they asked about compassionate care, they were denied because it was not end of life. But directly within the guidelines that were released, the latest guidelines that were released in October, it says it is not only end of life, it's also within the CMS guidelines. And all of those guidelines are listed on, are within the files on our Facebook group page. If you
I think
need
it
them.
was Dawn who possibly said that. Dawn and myself have the same, our children are in the same facility. And I have tried, and I've actually contacted their liaison, their, what do you call it? Their compliance officer, and asked for a compassionate care visit, and even cited that my son was deafblind and that he doesn't get any, you know, Zoom calls weren't doing it for him. And even the outside visits weren't doing it for him. And they said, sorry, we don't, you know, we're not doing compassionate care visits. So that was in October. And I brought up the, you know, the new guidance from 1022 and so forth and so on. So I know Dawn and I both have that issue about they just refuse flat out. And then, you know, we find out later through parent meetings that the reason why they're not doing certain visits is because they haven't gotten their rules together. They haven't gotten their act together and got the rules that they're supposed to have down for CMS and for IDPH, whatever it is that, you know, they're supposed to have, you know, whatever the guidelines are. So, I mean, that's our problem, I think, right now. And, you know, I think, you know, we often say like, well, why aren't they letting us do it? I think they're just not prepared.
They're not.
Yeah, they're not prepared, and it takes forever to do it. Or
No, it really
whatever.
doesn't.
They're not doing it. They're not
dragging their feet.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I agree, but that's not my problem that you didn't follow up on your job.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but
we will do a couple things. First of all, I put it on Facebook briefly earlier. I will have an entire post up tomorrow. On Saturday morning at 11:30, I scheduled another Zoom. I will go step by step with everybody on Saturday morning, how you do this, how you request it, what you're asking for, how to find your ombudsman, how to insert the hyperlinks you need in these emails, and to start the process. I've had one place up in Chicago that really made somebody jump through major hoops, but we finally got it. Most of the people that I've helped have gotten in. Especially your guys' facility, when you guys both attempt it and they deny you with no cause, I'm going to ask you to send it to me in emails, whenever they respond, because I will then forward it to my connection at IDPH.
yeah, I have that email from the compliance officer telling me that I can't do it. And I also was complaining in that email that I was seeing videos on Facebook from, I became friends with some of the employees, but I was seeing videos of employees out and about, no masks, no nothing, being at parties and so forth and so on. And our facility has been very lucky that I think only one resident has had COVID, but everyone else that puts us back into the stages, it's because of the employees. The
And that is-
employees are getting it.
And that's
And that is
everywhere.
everywhere. That's absolutely everywhere. One of the things that I sat on a phone call the other day with National Consumer Voice magazine, or National Consumer Voice, and there was some really big heavy hitters from advocacy groups around the country, and I got invited to come listen. They are presenting to CMS kind of demands of what the guidance needs to look like. And, you know, it's a long shot, but these are heavy hitters right now around the country of, you know, very large advocacy groups. And one of the things that they are asking is that employees do not count for outbreak for a facility. They're not staying in the building. They're gone for 2 weeks.
I agree.
Let them go. The
I
facility.
agree. It shouldn't
Right.
count because that puts, we suffer for that.
Correct, and that is from day one, we've already proven, COVID only comes in the building originally one way. It has to get carried in.
Not me. It's because I can't go in there, so it's got to be the
Correct,
employee.
and the problem is, like, we asked the other day, and it was asked in this meeting, and we've asked in a few others, has Florida tracked, because they would be the best place to do it, has Florida tracked since Governor Santos pretty much opened the doors in Florida in June or July, have families brought COVID in? The answer is no. We know that, but nobody's tracked it enough to make it work. Okay. And that's the problem. We almost need a way to start polling facilities. And it might actually be something that, now that I just said that I can ask the ombudsman as we do this initial webinar with the facilities, to get those that are on this call to say, yes, I'm on the call, and no, I've not, you know, have you or have you not honestly had a case tied to a family member bringing it in? You know, maybe we might be able to that way, even if we only have 200
Aren't they supposed to be
facilities.
contact tracing anyways? I mean, I know ours is doing it, but of course they would never
Right.
tell us who brought it in. You know, that's whatever,
Yeah.
HIPAA, whatever, you know. But I mean, you would think good facilities are supposed to be tracking where it's coming from.
So most of them do. Well, no, what they're supposed to be doing is giving that information to their county health department. Okay, and the county health department is supposed to be contact tracing. It's not happening.
And that's
Your
why.
microphone is off.
Huh?
Really, if you're trying to speak, your microphone's off.
Oh.
So, so I think, would we have any other new business? Carrie, you talked about the Saturdays.
hold I didn't finish the other either.
Okay.
so
I'm sorry.
It's all right. We kind of tagged on. Can I just say the one thing and then we'll go back to the new business? Is that all
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Because I know we've already hit our thingy that we were supposed to not hit. Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're on Facebook, I don't know if you've seen the frames that go around your profile picture. Well, if you would put that on, and it's in the announcements, and I'm gonna drop the direct link to the Facebook frame into the chat now. But if you would just add that and ask your friends to add it, ask your family to add it, to raise awareness, because then people are like, what is this? What is this caregivers? What does that mean? And then you have opportunity to say, my loved one, I have not, especially Janice, Dawn, as you're talking, I have not been able to talk. My son can't even hear or know that I'm communicating with them. You have that opportunity that opens doors to further spread awareness. So if we're asking everyone, if you're willing to change your frame or add the frame to your profile picture, at least through the anniversary. And then I think there was just, I think I had only another thing and then I was done.
Hey,
Oh,
Janice,
may I touch on
go ahead.
I was just going to touch on the hashtags and then I'm done. Just to tie it into the social media, I know you guys have kind of seen some of the hashtags and what we're talking on. We've gotten it down to just these hashtags. Anytime you post, if you at least post one of those, what it does is it populates your post into all the other ones that have been tagged with that. So in essence, your post and this post and this post and this post, they all get combined and it makes this really long list, and it makes just a post might be a whisper, but a bunch of posts become a roar. And so this is how we can make our posts roar. And there's no spaces in them and there's no punctuation. It's isolation kills two and LTC reunite families. And the final one is caregivers for compromise IL. And those are also, I believe, in the top of our group page. If we ever post anything that we really want you all to be able to find easily, it'll be in the announcements section. You can always click on the top of your Facebook page, the group page, and click on announcements and then click see all. And you'll be able to see all the things we've tagged as announcements. That way, at least they'll stay near the top and you can maybe find them more easily, because Facebook really isn't user-friendly in organization. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Fran.
So for new business, I have a question maybe to the people that hadn't joined a weekly Zoom before. I guess first a statement that this is the first time we've had the weekly Zoom on an evening time, just to try to increase the availability for some people that couldn't come in the morning. So going forward on the first, you may have seen this on the Facebook thing too, on the first and third Thursday of the month and the 5th, if there is one, it'll be in the morning, but then on the 2nd and the 4th, so the even weeks of the month, it'll be in the evening, even for evenings, like this at 7 o'clock. So for anybody that's new, I know some of you are muted, but is there, do you think that's going to work for you, or what? Did you find this
I would prefer
helpful?
evenings. I would prefer evenings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I prefer evenings also.
Yeah. That's why we were trying to spread it out, and all the times are recorded, so you can see them on the, on the YouTube channel if you can't make one or you miss one or whatever. So.
And the meeting, those numbers, they're the same, and the password is the same either way all the time. We don't change them.
The link, yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? And I know I
Sure.
came on a little late and I'm so sorry for that. But I've just kind of been waiting and I don't want my phone to die here, but has anything changed with legislation, or is it all exactly the same as it was?
So Jill Tracy was actually on in the beginning, Nancy.
Uh-huh.
It's the bill she wrote is sitting in the Rules Committee waiting for a number.
Okay.
She said earlier that if things went really well, maybe by April, we could see it starting moving for a vote. So, I mean, but it's progress because we have a bill at least, and it needs a number. And then the hard work becomes from there.
So by April, there might be a bill that, and what does the new bill propose?
Julie, you want to give them a short version? You're muted. Julie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Let me just find the short. I'll just give you the short and sweet part of the synopsis of it. It's basically, if a public health emergency, a natural disaster, or other emergency circumstances causes a facility to restrict visitation, the provisions of this act shall apply and allow for residents to have access to visitation by designated essential caregivers to ensure that the residents' needs are met.
Wonderful.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Yes, thank you.
And
And then
there is
the
a really
enfor-
nice clause at the very end of it. That if it was to pass the way it's at right now today, they're going to be given 7 or 14 days. That will be up to the legislators of how long a facility has to, from the day one of the emergency to get their, because they're going to have time to get things in place. You know, without we have to be reasonable. But any facility that doesn't operate, if it's at the way it's right now today, they could face a $10,000 a day per resident fine.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, it's not gonna pass at that, but there's a chance it could pass at $1,000 a day per resident fine without hitting them in the pocketbook. They're not gonna care.
No.
Jill she let Julie and I tear this apart.
We did.
Literally,
We
The first bill Jill sent us, Julie and I kind of pouted for a few days and debated how to respond. And I finally sent her back an email that said, honestly, if you submit this, it will make it worse. And she let us line by line, essentially rewrite the entire thing. And then she phrased what we wrote for somebody in our office. So when I tell you this bill is far superior than any other state, it's hands down. I mean, New Jersey's bill talks more about who is paying for testing and PPE than it does about getting people in the building.
and that's why the enforcement part is so important too.
Correct.
Well, and that's why, partly one of our letters is going to CMS, because really this needs to be consistent. We have, well, let's face it, in the future, we have people now that they live in one state and their family members are in care in another state. And who's to say any of us wouldn't have someday a loved one in another state long-term care. So we really need like some level of federal involvement too.
Right.
So,
But at the same time, it might almost even be more important to also have that state level. Because, right, assisted livings, any facility that does not take federal funding is not mandated to follow CMS guidelines.
Right.
And I would have never known that prior to this. Okay, that's one of the very first things I learned. Same thing with state-run facilities. They're obligated under certain things, but not all the same set of rules either. So some of this has been a huge learning curve to figure out who's responsible for what. And it's really important that we make sure we're covering all of our bases, because what we don't want at the end is that we manage to cover 96% of the facilities, but we missed 4%. I mean, we literally have laid out villas, assisted livings, developmental centers, nursing homes, assisted living, supportive, memory, facilities for the mentally impaired or